क्या महंगा किया है। नाश्ता हो रहा है? नहीं वो फिर सीधा आप उधर से करो, मैं उसको सेट करूँ, है ना? ठीक है। आस्था, आस्था, हेलो,
Yes, sir.
कैन यू हियर मी?
Yes, sir.
ओके, अच्छा, लेट द मीटिंग स्टार्ट। इट विल टेक अराउंड, आई विल गिव 5 मिनट। अभी टाइम नहीं हुआ तो वी विल स्टार्ट विद इन 5 मिनट्स।
Okay, sir.
लेट द स्टूडेंट्स ज्वाइन। Such. नहीं, ये तो है ना स्टूडेंट। Hello and good morning to all of you. So, I shall be starting today's lecture. Can you hear me, students?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, the topic of today's lecture is somatic embryogenesis. It is another way of micropropagation or other pathway of micropropagation, and is an very important aspect for some other reasons also. We will study today the details of somatic embryogenesis. I have planned 2 lectures on somatic embryogenesis for you. A first lecture, this is first lecture among those 2 lectures. So embryo, you all are aware of what is a embryo. It's a structure that is formed from the zygote, and in turn zygote is formed from the uh, fusion of gametes, that is male gamete and female gamete. So embryogenesis is the beginning of a life cycle of an organism, and process of development is called embryogenesis. Now let us see what is the definition of an embryo. How we say it's an embryo? By definition, it is very simple. When a zygote divides, it forms a embryo. It forms embryo. So first, let me give you a concept how embryo develop from the zygote, and how that happens. That I will do through whiteboard. So if we look at that, if embryo sac is having, so here 2 synergids, and you have a egg which when get fertilized, it can form zygote. Okay, so how embryo develop? Now I will take up only the development of this cell. Okay, so if we look at that cell, this cell divides at right angle this way, and it forms 2 cells. So zygote divide 2 cells. These 2 cells, one becomes one toward this side become embryo initial, other becomes suspensor initial. Suspensor is the structure that attaches the embryo to the mother tissue. Now over a period of time, this cell and this cell, they both divide. This cell will produce a globular structure which is attached to the mother cell by 3 or 4 cells, and this forms the globular structure. Like that. So this is called the globular embryo. This structure developed from this cell, and this structure, a suspensor, develops from this cell. In fact, if we define go by definition, this structure in itself is called embryo. But for the convenience, we just have given the different names for the process. Now I will take up only the development of this much of embryo. I will not discuss the suspensor. When we discuss the development of this embryo, the next stage is it forms a heart-shaped structure. So this is a very, very important transition. If we go by biological symmetry, this structure is having a radial symmetry, and this is having bilateral. bilateral symmetry. So these are two different types of symmetries. You might have studied the symmetries in your +2 class. Radial is you can cut the structure into two equal half in any plane. If you look at this structure, you can cut two equal half this way, this way, this way, this way, or upper this way, right angle to this. Any structure we call radial, but this structure can only be cut into two half only this way. We cannot cut any other way. So that's called bilateral symmetry. So transition from radial to bilateral symmetry is a very important event in the process of embryogenesis. We will discuss during the course of this lecture this thing also, and then this structure, the growth continued at these places, and this structure develop into torpedo stage shaped embryo. Here is a plumule. These are the cotyledons. This is radicle, plumule, and these are the cotyledons. This is a torpedo embryo, and then this matures. This torpedo embryo matures. So this is the whole process of zygotic embryogenesis. Zygotic embryogenesis. So now, if we discuss further, what makes this transition? Just I would like to tell you that when embryo is growing here into this structure, when it has attained this structure, if we just take it in detail, this globular structure, the cell differentiation starts here. The first sign of differentiation is outer layer. This layer forms the epidermal cells. You know the epidermal cell has a different type of arrangement as compared to the parenchymatic cell, other parenchymatic cells. So from one type of cells in globular embryo, itself, the cells now becomes two types. That's the first process of differentiation. Now what happens? This globular structure, it develops, some cells acquires the capacity to undertake oxygen synthesis, acquire capacity for oxygen biosynthesis. Okay, this acquires capacity for oxygen biosynthesis. Now if I just tilt it this way to 90 degree, you will see that cells here has this capacity. Now what happens when this oxygen synthesis starts? Rest of the structure is not synthesizes oxygen. So a very special kind of oxygen transport sets in. That is active transport. Active polar transport leads to the transport of oxygen to these ends, this way, and from here to this side, here to this side, this side. That means one thing is getting accumulated in these cells, here in these cells, and then it is getting transported all across from both sides and reaching here. So three places are identified which then acquire a very fast cell division. Of course, this is a different, now these cells here, cells here, they further get differentiated and acquire the active state of cell division. So that results in the transition of globular embryo into a heart-shaped structure. Into a heart-shaped structure. Okay, so we have a division here, here, and here. This forms the root initial of the embryo. This forms the cotyledon initial of the embryo, and here develops the plumule. That means shoot initial. That grows and forms the then torpedo stage embryo, which then ultimately matures. So this is a simple process of embryogenesis in plants. Now remember this thing. So can you see back the slide? Hello students.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now here this process has been diagrammatically shown that we culture any part of the plant. It can be grown into cells. These cells can be removed, and some of the cell can form these globular structure by divisor. Is that seems equal to the zygotic embryogen? This is not zygote. These cells are equal to zygote. This is equal to the globular embryo. This is a group of cells, globular ball-shaped structure. Then same thing happens here also. That some cells acquire and it gets the transition into heart-shaped structure, which ultimately form the torpedo stage embryo. Here plumule, cotyledons, radicle, and then that can form the plant. That can form the plant. This is the whole process of somatic embryogenesis. Now, somatic embryogenesis types, how many types? It can be direct or indirect somatic embryogenesis. Direct somatic embryogenesis, when cells or in the tissue or in the explant directly enters into embryogenic pathway. Now let us look at the definition which we studied during morphogenesis. I told you the differentiated cells are to be dedifferentiated. Then it had to acquire the competence to form the embryo. But what are the kind of cells here? What are the kind of cells here which can directly enter into the process of embryogenesis without any induction or competence? These cells are called predetermined embryogenic cells, PDEC. Such cells are very common in the young tissue. As tissue matures, the number of these cells keep on decreasing. That simply says as tissue mature, the cell specialization is becoming more and more rigid. It's becoming more and more rigid. It is not flexible. But jungs are flexible. To my students, here I always cite an example that young people are always flexible and amenable to the different ideas and different things. And they are always preferred by the organizations, not the persons like me who are very rigid. We have grown old and become the rigid. So same thing happens here also in case of cells also when the tissue gets matured. So say in the embryonic stage we have large number of these predetermined embryogenic cells, and these predetermined embryogenic cells, given the culture conditions only, does not require any induction, does not need to acquire the competence. They are already having the competence. They can enter into the process of embryogenesis. So same thing happened in case of identical twins in human being. When the embryo starts developing the uterus, if by some reason it gets separated few cells from the embryo, early embryonic stages, that is I don't know, it's gastrula or blastula. I'm not remembering exactly. So these cells, each of the cell has a potential to develop into embryo. They are still determined to form the embryo. They have not become rigid. So this is the simple biological phenomena that the cells, as they grow in the organism, they are more and more rigid to their functions. So direct embryogenesis is the directly formation of the embryo from the explants or cells in the tissue. And these cells are called pre-embryogenic determined cells. Indirect somatic embryogenesis now, when the somatic cells from the tissue dedifferentiation. Now these cells require dedifferentiation into callus phase, and then the callus cells can be induced for the redifferentiation to acquire the competence to form the somatic embryo, and this process of embryogenesis is called indirect somatic embryogenesis. And indirect somatic embryo formation, the embryos are called indirect somatic embryos. These callus cells require induction for entering into the somatic embryogenic pathway. Such cells are called induced embryogenic determined cells, IEDC. Induced embryogenic determined cells. These cells require induction to acquire the competence to form the embryo. Okay, so that is the cells. Now this is a direct embryogenesis in case of one of the medicinal plant, Bacopa monnieri. Cultured the leaves, and these leaves, they start differentiating embryos in the leaf. These are the camera pictures of the leaves differentiating embryo, and these embryos then germinated to form the plants. When the histology was performed, it was found that some cells on the surface, it forms a meristematic pockets, actively dividing of cells. These actively dividing pockets form globular structures. This is a globular structure. And then this formed a heart-shaped structure which becomes a mature embryo, and the embryo was developed. The similar, this is a globular embryo under electron micrograph. These globular embryos further grew, form heart-shaped structures which form torpedo-shaped embryos. These are the embryo, mature embryo you can say. So this process of embryogenesis is also depicted diagrammatically here. So this is the leaf, cells divide, some cell acquire on the surface of the leaf, some cell acquire the capacity to divide. They start dividing. After dividing, they form meristematic pockets, actively growing cells, pocket of actively growing cells. This pocket of actively growing cells then develop into globular embryo. So this embryo acquires, some cells acquire here the capacity to synthesize oxygen, and then it is developing into the heart shape and torpedo shaped embryo. Now it is very important in the culture, when this cell has acquired the capacity to form the oxygens, if we are culturing the cells on the medium containing oxygen, high concentration of oxygen, then this process of polar transport does not set in. Rather, a kind of diffusion takes place, and this structure continue to grow and ultimately form the callus. Embryos do not mature or differentiate fully. So this process of embryogenesis requires the withdrawal of oxygens from the medium. Once we have reached this stage, we don't require oxygen. Oxygens are required in this stage of early in case of induced embryogenic determinate cells. They are not required for pre-embryogenic determinate cells. Now, I would like to suggest, inform you here that this thing, you will say these are not the embryonic structures, but still it forms the direct embryogenesis, because some plants, it's a plant dependent phenomena, and by and large it has been seen in case of woody plant, we lose the embryo pre-embryogenic determinate cell. In case of herbaceous plants, they are there up to even quite longer later stage of their life. So indirect somatic embryogenesis and plantlet regeneration in tea. This is a tea. This embryogenesis was achieved from the cotyledons. Now here, tea is a tree species. Even from the cotyledons, that is embryonic tissue, we require some kind of induction, and cells do not enter directly into embryogenesis. They first differentiate callus, and from the callus, then we get the globular embryo. This is a globular embryo. This is another globular embryo, small. This is another developing. So here 2, 3. So these are how these embryos they develop. Micropropagation through somatic embryogenesis offers considerable advantage over the other methods of clonal propagation. So if I say what are the advantages of embryogenesis over other, because embryos develop from the single cell. Number one, embryos develop from the single cell. They do not develop from group of cells. If they develop from the group of cells, if the group of cells are genetically different, then the organ developed or embryo developed will be having genetically different type of cells. And these are called chimeras. On the contrary, shoot differentiation takes place from the group of cells. So in case of shoots, we can expect the formation of chimeric shoots. Whereas in case of embryos, we can say it is likely to be non-chimeric. So chimeras are not preferred. Students, hello. Have you, any one of you, seen the plants in the nursery where leaves of different patches of colors? Hello? Hello students.
Yes, sir.
देखे हैं बेटे आपने leaves with different patches of colors?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Why this is there? Why that is happening like that?
So nutrition problem maybe.
Because these plants are chimeric in nature. They are having different types of cells, which are differentiating into different types of patches. Okay, so this is the chimerism. So this route has the potential of producing large number of plantlets. So large number of embryos can be produced. Embryos can also be produced in the bioreactors very easily. Embryos can be easily encapsulated into the hydrogels to form the synthetic seeds. These are the synthetic seeds. I will just give one lecture on synthetic seeds. Okay, artificial seeds. Okay, the technology is applicable to mechanization to make the process more cheaper and efficient. These are the advantages of somatic embryogenesis over other routes of morphogenesis or micropropagations. So what are the steps in somatic embryogenesis? We need to initiate the culture, initiation of culture. Then from the culture, we need to induct the embryogenesis. For the induction, we need to standardize media component, plant growth regulator, one of the most important aspect in the process of somatic embryogenesis. Then physical condition, of course, to some extent. So development, media component, PGR, carbohydrates and all that. That's the induction. Now development and maturation, PGR, osmoticum, desiccation and conversion. How we can get plants from the embryos. So these are the stages. So first is initiation of culture. Then we need to induce embryogenesis. The seduction is not required in case of pre-embryogenic determined cells. Then we need to develop proper embryos. Then we need to get embryos maturated, get matured, because maturation is a very important aspect of embryogenesis. And then conversion of embryos into plantlets. All these steps are very, very important in the process of somatic embryogenesis. Growth regulator. Now let us discuss the role of growth regulators in the process of somatic embryogenesis. Auxin plays a major role in the development of somatic embryos. It's a line which speaks a lot. The role of auxin in the somatic embryogenesis is highly precise. They play a very important role. I just give you the example that the transition of symmetry from radial to bilateral is governed by the polar transport of auxins. Had there been no polar transport, bilateral symmetry could not have been possible. This is an important aspect. Requires synthetic auxin for induction. For the induction of somatic embryogenesis, wherever we need to induce the cells for the somatic embryogenesis, we require the exposure of cells to the auxins to achieve them the process of induction. So for the induction, auxins are very, very important. And then once the induction has taken place, we may not require auxins further for the development and maturation. There we may be requiring cytokinins. 2,4-D is most commonly used auxin for the induction of somatic embryogenesis. One thing I would like to tell you that 2,4-D is one of the strongest auxin. Very, very strong auxin, 2,4-D. 2,4-dichlorophenolic acid. So if we go by the strength of the auxin, 2,4-D followed by Na, followed by IBA, followed by IA, like that. The other auxin, Na, IBA, picloram. Picloram is also auxin-like compound, and IA have also been used for the induction of somatic embryogenesis. Naturally occurring auxin, indole acetic acid, is a weak auxin and is more rapidly broken. This is important. The auxin which occurs naturally in the plant is a very weak auxin, because in the plant there is a mechanism to make this auxin inactive, convert this into inactive form. There is a very active mechanism in the plant. So we cannot probably expose the cells to that high concentration of IA, which can result in the induction. Whereas the other auxin, 2,4-D, Na are not converted in the cells very easily. There is no mechanism. Cells have to convert these auxins. So they are stronger auxin. The auxin, particularly 2,4-D, in the concentration range of 0.5 to 1 mg per liter is used for the induction. This involves 2.5 micromolar to 5 micromolar. Proliferation or induction media stimulates the formation of localized group of, when we put these on the auxin medium, that results in the formation of localized group of meristematic cells. I've shown you there in Bacopa somatic embryogenesis, what we call it as a meristematic pockets. And these are also called pro-embryogenic masses. This is specifically when it is these cell clusters are produced in the suspension culture, cell suspension cultures. So these are called pro-embryogenic masses, which are cell clusters within the cell population competent to form somatic embryos. So these cell clusters have a competence to form these somatic embryos. So that's an advantage. In early stages, higher concentration, early stages of embryogenesis, higher concentration of oxygen is essential for the induction of embryogenesis. However, the presence of oxygen, high concentration, the embryo continue to multiply or grow without processing further stages such as getting transition from globular to bilateral symmetry or getting the various other forms of embryo. It does not develop, it continue to grow, and it ultimately ends up to form the callus or callus-like structures. In suspension culture, cell clumps, pre-embryogenic masses are formed, which need to be transferred to the medium containing very low concentration of oxygen or oxygen-free medium for the embryo development. We call that as a embryo development medium. Generally, for embryogenesis, two-stage media are used. In the first stage, where induction is required, medium contain high concentration of oxygen and low concentration of cytokines. Whereas in the second stage, when the induction has taken place, we need to transfer to the medium containing very low or concentration of oxygen or oxygen-free medium, and should contain sufficient amount of cytokinin, because now embryo has to grow and divide at a very rapid pace. To sustain this rapid cell division, cytokinins are required. Globular embryos developed in the presence of high concentration of oxygen need to initiate the polar transport of endogenous oxygen for establishing the polarity, which requires lower concentration of oxygens, which I have explained to you in my earlier slides. So this was the diagram which was taken from one of the research paper published, where they have proved that polar transport of oxygen is essential for the development of the embryo. So what they did, so this is what I'm showing to you. You can see here, I'm showing to you that this is a globular embryo where this polar transport initiated. If the polar transport goes normal, then embryo matures normal. If the polar transport is stopped by providing certain inhibitors of polar transport, there are inhibitors which can stop the process of polar transport. These inhibitors can be trans-cinnamic acid or triiodobenzoic acid, TIBA, trans-cinnamic acid, TIBA. If we add anything into the medium that cuts the process of interferes with the process of polar transport, and in that case the embryo, either it continue to grow as a globular embryo, or it forms, if this diffusion takes place, it forms cotyledon all over here and result in the formation of this cup-shaped embryo. Or if this gets induced at different places, we get embryo like this. So this is a very kind of embryo which normally also takes place in case of gymnosperms, Pinus. Probably that's the reason the cell has this kind of mechanism of polar transport in case of Pinus. So they get embryo with multiple cotyledons, and many a time 8 to 10 cotyledons are there. So this is a very specific experiment that establishes the role of polar transport in the formation of embryo. Now coming to the cytokinins. These are essential for the accelerated cell division during different phases of somatic embryogenesis, particularly after the globular phase. Play important role during second phase of somatic embryogenesis, that is heart shape onwards. Mostly beneficial for somatic embryogenesis from pre-embryogenic determinate cell. So pre-embryogenic determinate cell where we don't require any kind of induction or anything, that means the role of oxygen is very little. If we culture them onto the medium containing cytokinins, the cells will tend to form the embryos. So required for the conversion, these are also required for the conversion of embryos into plantlets. It's helpful in breaking the embryonic dormancy. Hello students.
Yes, sir.
What is dormancy, Ridhvi?
Yes, sir.
What is dormancy? बेटे idea है कुछ?
Dormancy is the stage when the seed is or the embryo is under development, and when it gets the favorable condition, it germinates out.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
So plant is alive but cannot grow properly.
Again, can you kindly repeat?
So plant is alive but cannot grow properly.
Exactly. Dormancy is a phase of suspended growth. Even if you give the most favorable conditions, the things do not grow. It's a phase of suspended growth. Okay. So it is there are different kind of dormancy in the plants. We can have a tuber dormancy, we can have a shoot dormancy, we can have a seed dormancy or something like that. The dormancy is developed in order to prenate the unfavorable conditions. Okay. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So nitrogen source. Next is nitrogen source. The most important nutrient in the culture medium is nitrogen, which affects the process of somatic embryogenesis significantly. It has a very significant effect, pronounced effect on the process of somatic embryogenesis. The form of nitrogen have a strong influence. I told you in some of the previous presentations also, we provide nitrogen in two different forms. Either reduced nitrogen, ammonical nitrogen, or oxidized form of nitrogen, that is nitrate nitrogen. The ammonical nitrogen can also be organic or inorganic, whereas nitrate nitrogen is always inorganic. So often the presence of ammonium or some other source of reduced nitrogen is required for the process of somatic embryogenesis. That is why in many cases the incorporation of amino acids such as glycine, glutamate or casein hydrolysate. Casein is a milk protein. Its hydrolysate contain the mixture of amino acids, is beneficial for the process of somatic embryogenesis. The ratio of reduced to oxidized nitrogen has also been shown to affect the process of somatic embryogenesis. So this is one of the element which needs to be worked out before optimizing the process of somatic embryogenesis. In few cases, the calli initiated on the medium with nitrate nitrogen, potassium nitrate, as a sole source of nitrogen, only nitrate nitrogen, fail to form embryo upon removal of oxygens. So we may get the induction, but they do not form embryo. The embryogenesis does not proceed normally. However, in these cultures, in addition of small amount of nitrogen in the form of ammonium chloride, that is mean reduced nitrogen, in the presence of even oxidized nitrogen, allowed the process of somatic embryogenesis to proceed normally. So that is the importance. So what does this all gives us message? That we may incorporate nitrate nitrogen, but small amount of reduced nitrogen is always beneficial and essential for the process of embryogenesis. Okay, so I stop here today, and if you have any query you can discuss with me. Yes, students, have any query?
No, sir.
Is that clear to you all? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So, should I end the meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.